What up, everybody? It's your boy A.A. Ron coming to you with another episode of First and Faithful, part 2 of my recap of the state of the franchise, videos we've got in the last couple of days. If you missed part 1 of my recap, you can click right there. It'll take you to it, go over my thoughts on Coach Shanahan's appearance, Coach Sala, and Coach Hightower. Joe Staley, Jed York did a video with Al Guido. Go over that. Very interesting. Again, if you missed it in the first one, they're doing it kind of segmented, kind of like Zoom conference, teleconference calls, as opposed to how they usually do it, which is at the stadium with the fans, and they come on the stage, and it's hosted, and it's a big deal. It's really fun actually to watch. This year, obviously, the COVID that wasn't happening, so everybody's kind of segmented into kind of the Zoom group. So. Kind of different. But before we get into part 2 of my recap, this is the part where I beg and plead. Please click the like button, subscribe, the little bell icon, leave me a comment, let me know what you like, let me know what you don't like. Really appreciate the views, really appreciate everybody who has subscribed, etc. So thank you very much. Let's get into it. Part 2. First, let's get into the Bryant Young segment. He actually did it on the first night of the videos. I didn't get to that. Good seeing BY again. He talked about what it meant to him to wear the red and gold. He one of few players just in general in sports that played with one team his entire career. Very, very great career. And it's funny you go back and you kind of forget how really dominant he was. Niners all-time sack leader at 89.5 sacks in his career. 4-time Pro Bowler, won the NFL Comeback Player of the Year after he broke his leg. Came back the next year, was a dominant force again. Was a one-time first-team All-Pro. Him combined with Dana Stubblefield, probably the best. One of the best, defensive tackle tandems the league has ever seen. It's kind of weird, they don't get, I think, the credit or the props they deserve as dominant as they were. Like when you talk about great defensive tackles throughout the history of the league, they kind of get pushed out, which is weird. As great as Bryant Young was, Dana Stubblefield won Defensive Player of the Year in his career, so it's just kind of weird they don't get mentioned that same breath as a lot of other ones. It was nice to see BY make it to the semifinalist round of voting for the Hall of Fame this last go-round. So maybe he'll start picking up a little more steam now that the Niners are kind of back in the spotlight. So we'll see how that kind of shakes out. Jed York was also involved in that call. Just spoke about how great BY was on the field and off the field. Won the Len Eshmont Award multiple times. Just such a great guy in the locker room, on the field, off the field. So it's just great to see. Jed also finished the call kind of on an awesome, happy note. Announced officially that they will be inducting BY into the Niners Hall of Fame this season. So that'll be cool. I'm sure there'll be a ceremony, as soon as they kind of figure out all this COVID and all that. Definitely do a ceremony, get his little statue going. If you've been to the Niner Museum Hall of Fame, I'll get his statue ready, which would be really cool to see. If you've been, it's something just really awesome. Moving on, offense. It was great seeing a lot of the offensive leaders, Jimmy G, Trent Williams, George Kittle, and Mike McGlinchey all on the screen together, talking about some of the benefits of the virtual workouts, just kind of the ability to really take a lot of time to really go over a lot of the fine point details. So that was one of the benefits they had. George Kittle showed off some of his numerous Zoom backgrounds that he uses during their meetings. You can see some pictures. It's pretty hilarious. Just kind of keep the room kind of light, and just goes to show the how good they all are together. It's like they're all brothers. It's really nice to see. It was great to see Trent Williams talk about how happy he was to come to the team. But one thing he said that kind of stuck out for me is that one of the big reasons coming to San Francisco, and what he loved about coming to San Francisco was that the world wasn't on his shoulders. He could just come in and just be a small piece in a well-oiled machine. He doesn't have to carry the team. He doesn't have to be the guy. And I think, I expect to see some really great things from Trent, knowing that he just has to do his part. Like the wins or losses don't fall on his shoulders like I think he felt like maybe it did in Washington, because for many years he kind of was their best player, maybe their only really good player. And so now he just has to come in and do his job. And that's all he has to focus on. There are other people to kind of take that role of, what happened today? How come you didn't win? Or and so I think that's a big part. So it was good to see him on the screen as well. Good to see just everybody, the great locker room, the great rapport everybody has together, and just that was just really nice. Also, they talked about the hangover, the Super Bowl hangover everybody speaks of when you lose. Super Bowl, only I think 3 teams have won the Super Bowl the year after losing it. The Dolphins, I believe, the Cowboys, I think in back-to-back years, actually. I think it was like 71 Dolphins, 71 Cowboys, 72 Dolphins, I believe. And the Patriots, after they lost to the Eagles, they won the next year. So, the hangover, they spoke about just the mental, the mental acuity of the team and where they are mentally is why they believe that won't be an issue for them. They are mentally locked in, and from, coaches down to players, everybody has the right mental framework to make sure that the hangover doesn't carry over. And so that was, like I said, they're saying the right things. We'll see when they get on the field, but, they seem to really be locked in. So that was just great to see. Then we went over to the defense. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Arik Armstead, and then Richard Sherman joined a little bit later. They talked about what they're focusing on, and this group, more than I think the offensive group, really, talked about the focus on doing whatever it takes to make sure they're even better than last season, and to make it back to the Super Bowl. And that seemed to be the focus, kind of like when Shanahan spoke about the Super Bowl, and getting back there. The defense also seemed to really and I think maybe they took last season personally, how it ended. They had a 10-point lead, they gave it up. And they feel like they missed some plays. Sherman spoke to that they missed some plays, 1 or 2 plays here and there. We're talking about, are they, set for a dynasty instead of, Super Bowl hangover. So they spoke a lot about that. Armstead spoke about his extension, how much it meant for him to be able to stay in the Bay Area. He's from Sacramento, played at Oregon, so to kind of stay home, how big that was to him. And then Sherman spoke about, the win, the unfinished business, this season, going into this season, unfinished business. He used that term. Bosa used the term win now mentality. He spoke about how the window to compete, the window to contend can sometimes close very quickly. Great teams, they pop up and they go away. And he said, they're definitely in a win now mentality. And I really do like that. I think sometimes you have teams get complacent. They win. It's like, okay, we can just get right back to there. No biggie. And things change quick in sports and life in general. But in sports, I think especially in the NFL, it's just things change so quickly. You lose 1 or 2 guys, an injury here. You saw what happened to the Rams last season, the Super Bowl season. That whole O-line stayed intact. Gurley was, for most of the season until the playoffs, was, beasting. And then this last season, you saw Gurley was a shell of his former self. That O-line, had decimated by injuries, and you saw it just kind of fell apart really quick. And it's amazing how quick that can happen. So I think that win now mentality is the right one to have. So that was great to see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, my final thoughts on the whole thing. It was great to see everybody there. The offensive side, I think, was recorded before the group practices were canceled by the NFLPA. Jimmy said that in the video that they had just gotten out to Nashville, so I'm guessing this was recorded a week or two ago before I know one of the Niners tested positive for COVID, and then the Players Association pretty much suspended all group practices. So it's a couple of weeks old. So I mean, not that that really matters, but just if you're watching and saying when he says, "Oh, we just got to Nashville," I'm guessing that it was recorded a couple weeks ago. Like I said, my final thoughts. I love that they seem to be mentally focused. They're saying the right things. I love the focus on just finishing the job, but also that win now mentality because you just don't know. Those opportunities can sometimes come and go really quickly. Sometimes they stick around. If you watch sports for any length of time, when you do have a team that wins 2, 3, 4. That's why the Patriots dynasty is so incredible in a time of free agency and being able to keep that length of being competitive, winning titles, going to Super Bowls. The Warriors for the last couple seasons. It's just. They come and go quick. Sometimes you can sustain it. Sometimes you pop up for a season or two. The Seahawks are a good example. As good as that team was, and you look back, one Super Bowl. That's it. For as good as that team was, that's it. They got one title, which is you'll take it obviously, but still a team that looked like they would year after year, and they only. Won the one, went to another one. That was kind of it. Now they're trying to get back to that spot. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. You guys have any thoughts on the state of the franchise? Like I said, it was kind of weird this year with the different teleconferencing and all that. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Aaron. This is First and Faithful. Have a great one.